Every 4 years, a country wins the right to host the greatest show on earth, the FIFA World Cup. Billions of people watch. Fireworks light the sky, and the winning nation celebrates. But hidden behind the confetti is one of the most lopsided deals ever invented. A machine that quietly hands billions to a private organization and hands the bill to ordinary taxpayers. To see the trap, meet the two players who signed the deal. On one side stands a host nation, its cities, its treasury, and millions of hopeful fans. On the other stands FIFA, technically a non-profit, headquartered on a quiet hill in Zurich, Switzerland, that governs world football and owns the World Cup outright. Despite that non-profit label, FIFA sits on cash reserves measured in the billions, and its top officials enjoy salaries and perks fit for corporate royalty. The arrangement between them is simple and brutal. The country agrees to build everything. FIFA agrees to show up, run the tournament, and collect the money. One side takes on the debt, the concrete, and the risk. The other flies in and flies out richer. Let's follow the money. It begins years earlier with a contest almost as competitive as the football itself. The bid to host. Nations line up to compete, each promising bigger stadiums, faster trains, and grander airports than the last. It's an auction, and the prize is the privilege of paying. To even enter, a government must sign a thick stack of guarantees. Dozens of legal promises drafted by FIFA, tilted heavily in FIFA's favor. These guarantees cover taxes, security, visas, and money. Sign them, and you've promised to private body powers that often override your own national laws. Guarantee number one is the stadiums. A modern World Cup demands around 8 of them. Vast, gleaming, and usually built from nothing. Qatar, a nation smaller than Connecticut, built 7 brand new stadiums and rebuilt an 8th, in a desert where almost no one had asked for them. Each is a cathedral of steel, glass, and air conditioning, costing hundreds of millions, sometimes over $1 billion, of public money per stadium. But FIFA's demands don't stop at the pitch. Around each venue, it wants training grounds, luxury hotels, and fan zones, all to its exact specifications. Then the connective tissue. Highways, metro lines, airports, and power grids upgraded across the whole country to move millions of visitors. Qatar's total spending over a decade climbed toward $200 billion, making it by far the most expensive event humanity has ever staged. To picture that sum, imagine what $200 billion could build instead. Hundreds of hospitals, thousands of schools, entire public transit networks. For generations, not 1 month. Now for FIFA's cleverest clause of all, the one that turns a tournament into a fortune. The tax exemption. As a condition of hosting, governments must wrap the event in a tax bubble, a special zone where FIFA's earnings are simply not taxed. Inside that bubble, FIFA's income, its major sponsors' income, and even its visiting officials' income can flow completely tax-free. So the profits generated inside the country that paid for everything don't stay there. They leave, untaxed, straight into FIFA's account in Switzerland, and those profits are enormous. FIFA's money flows in from 3 great rivers, and it controls the source of all 3. The first and mightiest river is television. The exclusive right to broadcast the World Cup sells for billions to networks on every continent. Nearly half the planet tuned in to the last World Cup at some point. An audience so vast that no advertiser on Earth can ignore it. For the Qatar cycle, broadcasting rights alone poured around $4.5 billion into FIFA's coffers. The second river is sponsorship. A small club of global brands pay staggering fees to attach their names to the world's biggest stage. The third river is tickets and hospitality. Every ordinary seat and every champagne-soaked VIP box sold through FIFA for FIFA's benefit. And ordinary fans feel the squeeze directly, with prime tickets often costing more than a month's wages in the host country. Combine the 3, and the Qatar World Cup generated FIFA roughly $7.5 billion in revenue over the cycle. Now compare that to FIFA's costs. It doesn't build stadiums, it doesn't pay the police. It borrows nothing and guarantees nothing. The host nation carries 100% of the financial risk. FIFA keeps almost all of the reward. That, in a single sentence, is the trap. And FIFA hasn't always played clean. In 2015, a sprawling corruption scandal saw officials arrested in dawn raids, accused of trading their votes for bribes worth millions. It's the business equivalent of asking a stranger to buy a restaurant, staff it, and insure it, then keeping every dollar it earns for one glorious month. Because the moment the final whistle blows and the crowds fly home, the host is left holding everything that was built. And a stadium designed for 80,000 roaring fans hides a cruel secret. Once the World Cup ends, hardly anyone comes back. Urban planners even have a name for these lonely giants. They call them white elephants. Magnificent, colossal, and almost impossible to feed. In Brazil, deep in the Amazon, the city of Manaus received a $300 million arena, used for a grand total of 4 matches. With no major local team to fill its stands, it fell quiet. Another Brazilian stadium was reportedly turned into a bus parking lot. In South Africa, gleaming venues built for 2010 later cost millions every year, just to mow the grass and keep the lights on. That money doesn't disappear. It hardens into public debt, repaid by ordinary citizens through their taxes for years or even decades. And the price isn't only measured in dollars. To clear land for stadiums and highways, families are sometimes forced out of their homes. Entire neighborhoods can be flattened so that for a few weeks the cameras capture a flawless, gleaming city. The people who build it pay the steepest price of all. In Qatar, huge numbers of migrant workers labored for years in dangerous heat. So, here's the obvious question. If the deal is this brutal, why does any country ever agree to it? Part of the answer is a dream. The promise that the world's gaze will convert into tourists, investment, and lasting prestige. Politicians adore it. A shining new stadium is a monument they can cut a ribbon on. The debt only comes due long after they've left office. And for a few golden weeks, the magic is genuinely real. A whole nation united, hearts pounding, watching its team on top of the world. But economists who study the numbers keep finding the same thing. The promised boom mostly never arrives. The visitors who come simply replace the ones scared away. FIFA points to its own legacy funds and grassroots grants and insists the game's growth is worth the cost. Host nations are left to judge for themselves. Slowly, though, the world is wising up. Voters are rejecting the bills, and one by one, cities have quietly withdrawn their bids to host. So, FIFA adapted. The 2026 World Cup won't rest on one nation. It will be shared across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 3 wealthy countries, splitting the cost, using stadiums that mostly already exist. The risk gets spread thin. The profits, of course, do not. FIFA expects that tournament to earn around $11 billion. Comfortably its largest payday in history. Step back far enough and the World Cup becomes a mirror held up to us all. It shows how easily we trade a lasting, concrete cost for a fleeting, dazzling moment of glory. And how rarely we do the math first. The game itself remains pure and beautiful. Just a ball, a patch of grass, and a whole planet holding its breath together. The trap was never the football. It's the deal quietly wrapped around it. And the hope that someday someone finally rewrites the terms. This video is sponsored by MoatScope. Everything we just covered, the power of a truly unbeatable moat, is simple to understand in theory. Actually finding those companies, that's the hard part. That's exactly what MoatScope is built for. It rates thousands of stocks on the 2 things that matter most: how strong the moat is and how much you'd pay for it. Quality times valuation on one simple scorecard, so you can spot the widening moats that are actually trading at a fair price. Check out MoatScope at the link below and go find your next compounder.